As we're finishing up today, I just want to offer a few updates with things that are happening with our First Detector network. Our next webinar is in 2 weeks, and I want to give a reminder that we're going to be talking about the Great Lakes Early Detection Network app that week. So for those of you who have participated in WIFDN before, this might be a bit of a review. If you haven't used the app before, or if you'd like a review about how it works, we do have a guide on the WIFDN website that you can access prior to the webinar, so you can kind of follow along with us. And you can find a link to that guide on the webinar page of our website. Look for the resources for the April 21st webinar. I'd also like to remind you that as we get into the growing season and many of you are getting back out into the field, we are going to be asking you to report your efforts around monitoring and managing invasive species and also doing outreach. So whether you are volunteering solely with WIFDN or whether you're volunteering with other groups like Master Gardeners or a friends group, we're going to ask you to report your efforts. And what that does for us is it helps us demonstrate to the people who fund us that the work that you are doing is incredibly valuable and important across the state. And so with the funding that we get, we're able to continue to offer these webinars, our in-person trainings, and the website resources to you for free. Another reminder, things are greening up out there. So if you haven't been out in the field yet this year and you're ready to get out and start reporting invasive species, a few things that you might look for include lesser celandine, that's also known as a fig buttercup. We talked about that in our last webinar. Garlic mustard and Dame's rocket are definitely out and prevalent right now. And of course, our shrubs like honeysuckles and buckthorns are greening up as well. So those are getting easier to spot right now. As I said, our next webinar is in 2 weeks on April 21st. In addition to reviewing the Great Lakes Early Detection Network app, we'll also be hearing from a couple of guest speakers who have worked on control efforts in Wisconsin. So Jason Granberg from the DNR will tell us about some efforts for Phragmites management across the state. And then Brad Steckert from Washington and Waukesha counties will be talking about biocontrol of purple loosestrife. So if you are interested in learning a bit more about some of the on-the-ground work that's happening with invasive species, you'll definitely want to join us for that webinar. And then our final webinar will be on May 5th. And for that one, we'll talk about a lot of the volunteer opportunities that we have for you this year. One last note for you is that we do have some upcoming in-person training events. So if you have attended the webinars, but you'd like to have some face-to-face training to identify invasive species in your area of the state and to practice using the GLEDN app, we'll be at the Schlitz Audubon Nature Center in Milwaukee on Saturday, May 6th. So you're welcome to join that training. And then on May 11th, we'll be at Beaver Creek Reserve up in Fall Creek. So if you're in the Fall Creek or Eau Claire area, we'd love to have you join us there. Also, if you aren't in either of those areas of the state and you're interested in having a training somewhere near you, definitely get in touch with us and we will try to set up a training for you in your area of the state. So it looks like our guests are feeling well informed today and don't have any questions for our guest speakers. So I want to give another big thank you to Mike and Don for joining us today. As usual, we will post a recording of the webinar, so if you want to go back and review either of the talks that you heard today, you'll be able to do that. We'll have that posted next week.